Venezuela's capital was jolted awake in the dead of night. Just after 1 a.m. local time, residents across Caracas reported powerful explosions tearing through the silence. Bright flashes lit up the sky. Deep, rumbling blasts echoed through the city. Fires were seen burning on hillsides overlooking several neighborhoods, sending plumes of smoke into the darkness. Within minutes, eyewitness videos flooded social media. Before going to break down this news, please subscribe to USA Close-Up. The footage appeared to show low-flying aircraft moving over the city, sudden power outages across southern districts, and frightened residents rushing into the streets as air raid sirens wailed in the background. Entire blocks were plunged into darkness. Cell phone cameras captured shock waves and distant detonations, while people shouted in confusion, unsure whether they were witnessing an accident or an attack. Unverified reports quickly began circulating online, claiming that multiple strategic locations had been hit. Among the sites mentioned were Fort Tiuna, Venezuela's main army base, and La Carlota Air Base, one of the country's most sensitive military installations. Other accounts, also unconfirmed, described helicopters overhead, repeated detonations, and what some witnesses characterized as military-style strikes across the capital. As dawn approached, parts of Caracas remained without electricity. Yet, despite the scale of the reported explosions, Venezuelan authorities offered no immediate explanation. No official cause was confirmed, no casualties were announced, and for hours the government remained largely silent. The explosions came at a moment of sharply heightened tension between Caracas and Washington. In recent months, the United States has expanded military operations targeting what it describes as Venezuelan drug trafficking networks operating by sea. These operations, which involve strikes on suspected smuggling boats and coastal infrastructure, have been repeatedly denounced by the Venezuelan government as acts of aggression and violations of sovereignty. That context has fueled intense speculation over what exactly happened in Caracas. Was this a limited strike, a covert operation, or the opening moments of something far larger? Those questions only deepened when reports surfaced suggesting that U.S. intelligence agencies may have carried out a drone strike inside Venezuelan territory. According to individuals familiar with the matter, a docking area believed to be used by drug cartels was reportedly hit last week using drones. If confirmed, it would mark the first known direct operation on Venezuelan soil since maritime strikes began months earlier. The alleged target was described as a port facility used to launch or support drug smuggling operations. The strike, according to these accounts, significantly escalated pressure on President Nicolás Maduro, who has been charged in the United States with narco-terrorism. Despite growing international attention, Maduro initially avoided giving clear answers. When asked directly whether U.S. intelligence agencies had conducted an attack inside Venezuela, the Venezuelan president neither confirmed nor denied the reports. Instead, he emphasized national sovereignty, territorial integrity, and internal security. Maduro insisted that Venezuela's comprehensive national defense system, integrating the military, police, and civilian forces, continues to guarantee peace, stability, and control over sovereign territory. He stated that Venezuelans were living safely and peacefully, and that the state remained firmly in control. At the same time, statements from Washington added another layer of complexity. In a media interaction, U.S. President Donald Trump acknowledged that he had spoken with Maduro recently, describing the conversation as pretty recent, but suggesting that little came from it. Trump then launched into a broader justification for U.S. actions against Venezuela, accusing the Maduro government of flooding the United States with drugs and criminals. Trump alleged that billions of dollars worth of narcotics had entered the U.S. from Venezuela and claimed that large numbers of criminals had been sent from prisons, mental institutions, and gangs into American cities. He singled out Tren de Aragua, a notorious criminal organization, describing it as one of the most violent gangs operating inside the United States. Trump further claimed that U.S. maritime operations had effectively shut down drug trafficking routes by sea. According to him, 97% of drugs entering the U.S. by water had been stopped, with each intercepted boat saving tens of thousands of American lives. Meanwhile, behind the rhetoric and rising military pressure, Maduro made an unexpected move. In a public interview, he revealed that he had spoken directly with Trump in a brief phone call from the White House. According to Maduro, the conversation lasted around 10 minutes and was respectful. He emphasized that there had only been one such conversation, despite speculation of multiple contacts. More strikingly, Maduro signaled openness to dialogue. He stated that Venezuela is ready to cooperate with the United States in combating drug trafficking if Washington is willing to engage seriously. He also went further, offering access to Venezuela's vast oil reserves for American investors, including companies like Chevron, under mutually agreed terms. Maduro framed the offer as pragmatic rather than political, arguing that cooperation could serve the interests of both nations. He repeated that Venezuela's sovereignty was non-negotiable, but insisted that economic engagement and joint anti-drug efforts were possible. While Caracas spoke of dialogue, U.S. officials remained tight-lipped. In a radio interview, Trump claimed that the United States had knocked out some type of big facility where ships come from, but did not specify the location, timing, or responsible agency. The CIA and White House declined to provide further clarification. Adding to the confusion, a spokesperson for U.S. Special Operations Command stated that American Special Operations Forces did not support the reported operation, including intelligence support. The statement neither confirmed nor denied that a strike had taken place, only that SOCO was not involved. What is clear, however, is that U.S. military action in the region is accelerating. On New Year's Eve alone, 5 more suspected drug smuggling boats were destroyed in U.S. operations. The total number of known strikes has now reached at least 35, with reports indicating that more than 100 people have been killed since the campaign began. Washington has framed these actions as part of an armed conflict against drug cartels, arguing that escalation is necessary to stop narcotics from reaching American shores. Critics, however, warn that the expanding scope of these operations risks triggering a broader regional confrontation. For Venezuela, the stakes are enormous. Any confirmed foreign strike on its territory would represent a dramatic escalation in U.S.-Venezuelan tensions, raising questions about international law, sovereignty, and the risk of miscalculation. For the United States, the campaign marks one of the most aggressive anti-drug military efforts in decades, blurring the line between law enforcement and warfare. As of now, many key questions remain unanswered. Who was responsible for the explosions in Caracas? Were they connected to alleged U.S. covert operations, internal Venezuelan incidents, or something else entirely? And is this the beginning of a new phase in Washington's shadow war against narco-terrorism, or an isolated incident amplified by fear and uncertainty? With both governments offering carefully worded statements and limited transparency, the true story may take weeks or longer to fully emerge. Until then, Caracas remains on edge, Washington presses forward, and the world watches closely as tensions simmer in one of the Western Hemisphere's most volatile flashpoints. This is a developing story.